Let's see, are we recording? Yeah, the little red light's on. Yeah, this is basically to do a summary YouTube, and like I've posted some fairly recently, one on using the light meter, which should come in handy. So, and we'll do an update to that because that one doesn't include using flash with the light meter, and we'll be talking about this class. But to come around, let's see if I'm on the screen. Okay, yeah, I'm on the screen. Come around, why we use flash. Well, first, sort of two big issues with lighting to start with. And they are, do you have enough light? And what is the quality of your light? So, the first one's absolutely essential. If you don't have enough light, and you can't solve that problem by going to a higher ISO or opening your camera up or doing a longer exposure, if all those avenues are cut off, then you just definitely need to add light in. The second issue, which is the more interesting one, and the one that we spend most of the time with in this class, is do you like the quality of the light? Do you want to change the quality of the light? And people use strobes certainly to solve the first issue. They are the most powerful lights we have out there. And the other nice thing about flash is that it's daylight balanced. So, so you have a better chance of matching it to window light and to other light. It's also a nice spectrum. It resembles daylight in that respect. So you don't have these spikes in the green or absences in the red that might change the look of your picture the way fluorescent lights change the look of your picture. For us here at the Photo Center, the other advantage of using the strobes is we have a wider range of modifiers than with any of the other lights. So we can go from very concentrated hard lighting to very diffuse soft lighting with the same gear, just by what we put on the device. And we're going to be using the Speedotron Monolights, which are up here on the middle shelf. And then when we go downstairs, we'll be using the Speedotron system that's down there. So the fittings and the accessories are the same for both. Now these Speedotron Monolights are new to us up here. We haven't had them very long. So your instructions I just this afternoon rewrote from a different kind of lighting. And so we may find some confusion in there because I didn't get things completely rewritten. So that's one of the things I'm going to be looking out for as I go through it. The other lights which we're not going to be using are in this long bag here. And they are Westcott strobe lights. And they're fine, but we're going to concentrate on the Speedotrons because we're going to be using them downstairs as well. So our routine is the normal one of setting up a stand and putting a light on it. And the other thing is we've got the system lights downstairs where it's just the light and you plug it into the pack, which provides the power, where these are monolights. So with this, the light is plugged into the wall and it's a single light with its own power supply. These are probably better to use, easier to use, if you think you're only going to need one or two lights. The system lights are take longer to set up. The pack is fairly expensive compared to the lights. So this would probably be the easier and more economical option. Once you start using 3 or 4 heads, the economic balance switches the other way, and that's when having a system with lights plugged in is probably better. The other advantage of the system lights is the lights themselves are pretty lightweight and smaller, so you can get them up higher or put them down lower than when you're working with this whole unit here. So depending on what kind of photography you're doing, that can be an issue. Because I'm doing architecture, I use the system light, Monolights, so then I can get the lights for the Monolight up really high. They're quite small and lightweight, so I can put them up on a tall stand if I need to get them high to photograph something. Now, these lights should be stored with a cover on them. This is the cover. When we take the cover off, we want to put something on that light to protect it. This is a safety rule, but it's for the safety of the equipment, really. You know, it doesn't make that much difference to us as people, but if the light were to go over, it's much more likely to be protected if it has a reflector on it or a softbox on it. And so with this, we can go either way. We can put reflectors on, that we get a hard light, or we can put a softbox on, and then we get a soft light. So I'm going to go with the reflector because it's easier to do. And it screws off. And then I'm going to put the reflector on. And the reflector has 2 notches, as I said before. They will match up with these screws here and here to go on. And let me turn it sideways here. So basically I'm turning it and I'm grabbing onto this red ring and tightening it against that ring. Now here's the back of the light, and if you go to page 6 of the instructions, there's a close-up of the back of the light. And boy, the cord is pretty short on this. This is the connection cord for the remotes. And one of these remotes is going to go on your camera. One is going to hang on the light. And I'm going to turn. And then this goes in the bottom here, and that triggered the flash, and then we now have a unit that's on and has one Pocket Wizard connected to it. And let's actually double back to the class instructions and go down the checklist, and I'm going to turn this off for a little bit here. Okay, we're taping for what it's worth.
So which softbox should we use on this one?
Actually, I was thinking maybe of using this new item that I brought it from downstairs, which is called
wobbly.
Oh yeah, so before we do anything, let's make sure everything's locked down here.
It's locked down.
Okay.
Is it?
Yeah, it is now. It was
Okay.
wobbling.
Yeah, so, because this is pretty heavy, so you want to make sure that it's solid.
Yeah.
So, wait, you have to take off the, this is called a beauty light, and it's sort of a compromise. Maybe somebody should take the protector from David so he can use both hands.
How did you get that on?
Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm thinking about the settings on the back and the settings for the modeling light. Yeah, make yourself comfortable. Yeah. And this is the point where I reassure the model that I'm fussing with the lights. They're doing fine. You know, don't worry. You know, so this one, the modeling light is set on the full. The switch is to the left, and this one is set to proportional. The switch is to the right. So if I go to full here,
And this is the modeling light,
it,
that one.
yeah, it comes on brighter.
Okay.
Now, proportional is nice if we're using the lights in different power settings,
Okay.
because then they will reflect the difference in power settings. The one problem with this system is if we have the lights dialed down, so like if I have this at 2 and I have this at 2, it's on full now, but if it's 2, then when I go to proportionate, the modeling light is pretty weak, and it might be hard to see what's going on. But once we turn all the other lights off in the room, maybe not. So, do people have their cameras handy? Because it's going to get dark here. They may want to. Don't forget.
So when you said 2, you're
So talk about that
yeah.
main dial.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is the modeling. Okay. And when you say proportional, what?
What I'm saying is, and we'll see this better when the room lights are off. When it's proportional, the modeling light reflects the fact that this is at 2, which is essentially quarter power. So the modeling light is going to be a quarter of its full brightness.
Okay.
And the modeling lights are relatively bright. They're, I think, 150 watt lights, quartz lights. But you know, when you dial it down, then that would be like a quarter of 150, which is what, a 40 watt light, or a little bit less than that. You know, so not so bright. So let's turn off the lights and see where we are.
And then at some point we'll have to attach the pocket receivers.
Oh yeah.
Right.
These aren't really at 45-degree angle.
No, I showed that to just sort of talk about reflections, but
Okay.
we're right now I'm thinking more about ratios. And so these lights are both at the 2 setting, and I think looking at it this way, we're getting a lot more light from this side than we are from this side. And especially when photographing people, I like to have asymmetrical lighting. I don't think I think it's actually really
Does that one have the...
hard to have symmetrical lighting on people. It just looks a little too
That's right, I'll hang up.
flat, a little too mechanistic. So having it stronger on one side than on the other is not a bad thing. But let's think about this.
I think this might be the... Oh,
Okay, why don't we hold off on attaching those for a second? I just want to look at the lighting, and what I'm seeing is a pretty strong shadow on that side on the background.
Uh-huh.
And so what I'm going to do is turn this light down a little bit and raise it up a little bit. Of course, we're going to have to keep it within reach, so maybe like that. Here's kind of the problem with the monolight. Sometimes your controls get out of reach, especially when you're a short person like me. You know?
That's why we have step ladder for you.
Yeah. And then I'm thinking that I want this light to be closer.
So is the reason we're not getting a shadow on the other side because it's a softbox or because it's dimmer?
I think both.
Okay.
And I'm sort of wondering if I rotate this here, boy,
Not much difference.
yeah. So I'm going to bump this up.
Oh yeah.
Is the modeling light getting brighter?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now that's doing a better job of washing out the shadow, but it might be too much light on her. So then we get this compromise once again. And one possibility is I'll bring it down, and then I'm going to turn the light so it's actually pointed more at the background, but it doesn't seem to be doing that great a job. In this situation, I'm really depending on the modeling lights to see what's going on. I'm not calculating these things. I have, some sort of general sense that this light is more powerful, but the actual figuring of where to put the light is much more just my looking at the shadows that I'm seeing and trying to figure it out. So I'm going to go over a bit more, and wow, it just it doesn't do much for this shadow at all here.
No, this is on proportion. This is not on proportional.
It was on proportion before, because you just
Okay.
made it a lot brighter. So one thing is, well, maybe we don't worry about the shadow. The other is, if we get,
Get the camera angle because you look from here, her shadow almost disappeared.
because it's behind her?
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is to go this way and to have it fall off to the left. Now, let me turn this down, and definitely we're doing something to wash the shadow
Yeah,
away,
right.
because it's a lot stronger here. But you can see how people sort of say, oh, we need a third light just for the background to deal with that.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. If you put a small little light down here. on the-
Exactly. That's part of the traditional portrait setup. Something low behind you or on one side or the other. It typically, when we're doing that, we'd have you further off the background so that there's more room for that light. Because there is a problem, you get that light down there and it's too powerful and it's kind of distracting. So it's kind of tricky to get a light in there enough to clean up the background but not take over the picture. Okay, why don't we turn on the room lights now and we can put the pocket wizards on. And what I want to do is, once we get the pocket wizard in there, I want to raise that light up higher. I want it to be coming down more on you. Because the traditional angle for a light is probably, 30%, 25%, above level. You don't want it.
Oh, but I don't think
You don't want it
Yeah.
straight on.
You don't want it straight on, you want it higher, yeah. Don't want it too high, because then eyebrows start shadowing
Sorry.
the eye socket. But, yeah, now, okay. The one that has the
Sorry.
You should swap over so I can
No.
hang it.
yes, yeah,
And then I can hang it
Oh,
up there.
right, thank you.
Sorry.
So let's see,
There you go.
are we still taping? Yeah, we're recording flashes right and left.
Sweet.
Okay, it works. It works.
Look at us.
Okay, so we seem to be in pretty good shape in that we're getting both units to be triggered, right? Yeah. What we're
But
hearing
that's
is
not
what,
the accurate reading because we needed
need
that
it
to
on
be
her.
against her.
Yeah.
That's too far?
you want
No,
to
you
be
have to
close
have
to
it
her.
To be at me
Because-
in the
yeah.
face, right?
You-
Remember
you-
the inverse square
Yeah,
law.
you say you have to say excuse me and then,
Excuse me.
yeah, right, right.
So what ISO do we?
Okay,
That's
so
too high.
yeah, so he just got f32 at
125, 32,
Two.
400.
at 400.
Let's try it here and see. Excuse me. See, 22.
Ooh,
Okay, so what are we going to do about that?
you turn the power down?
Yes.
Yes.
Alright.
I think we want to turn the roof. Okay, well let's think about this. That one is at what setting?
-2.
-2. Okay.
What's that one at?
-1. So it is nice to see the ratios,
Right.
but they're going to be pretty dim when we dial it down. But let's try that. So let's move both of them down 2 stops. So you'll go to -4 and I'll go to -3.
Close your eyes.
Yeah, because it's going to be dumping power as we turn these.
Okay.
Okay, let's turn off the room lights and see if we can see what we're doing here.
That's a good point.
Let's see. I'm gonna hit it. I see the one.
There's a problem with working under the modeling lights, and then when you turn on the room lights,
This
you
is
get to turn.
too bright.
Yeah. So
But that's-
F11. Oh, you're at 400 ISO. They
Okay.
probably did it at 200.
200.
Okay.
I'd also like to try this with a hair light because I think that would be fun.
Much better.
So how do you position a hair light? Like, is that...
Well, one thing is to just get it on a tall stand behind and aim it down. But we do have a boom downstairs, which is actually kind of big for the studio. But you can put a light on it.
And what does the hair light do?
The hair light makes the hair look better, and it also separates the hair from the background by changing the
I
tones
see.
if there's a danger of them merging. That you can also solve a number of other ways, like with a dark background in your hair, that's not going to be a problem. But the hair light is probably the toughest light to work with, and it gives a look that some people think is sort of polished, and other people sort of think is overdone, or sort of too reminiscent of traditional photo studios, but it does make hair look better. And I remember one time I had a student who was the hair always looked good in his shots, and then later I realized he was a hairdresser, and so that was what he was shooting for. But he really liked the hair lights. He thought that they helped quite a bit. There's more to do, but we're getting pretty close here, and I do want to sort of practice shutting down. So first thing when we're shutting down is to turn on the room lights, so we
Thank you. Oh, we should probably do the test, huh? Do we have the flash meter somewhere?
Look,
I'm
my arms
so
aren't gonna make
sorry.
it. Can't stick.
Old news.
Yeah.
I think it's good though, because this is exactly what happened.
did not
It's
flash.
not on.
Okay,
TV.
thought I taught you that.
You taught me that you also forgot. Just kidding. No, I'm just being a silly gal. See, you just gotta get him to smile. That's why I told you to flick me off, because you'd laugh about it. Wow, that's way too hot.
Are you using the same ISO as what the meter was set to?
Yeah, actually, I didn't even read the meter.
Like, see you.
I just kept it the same. Did it stay? Oh, no, it did not stay.
I can't do it.
Oh, I hate focusing for this little clip. Yeah, I hate it, but we get the gist. Not you, it's me. Yeah, because that ends up like shooting onto the wall as well, so then you get another random like. So I feel like this would have to be like over here. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think let's not move these